Let's dive right into this explainer, where we're going to literally peel back the layers of reality and explore some profound concepts hidden just beyond our physical senses. For most of us, reality is just what we can see, touch, measure, and observe, right? The world around us feels incredibly solid, permanent, and complete. But today, we're exploring a fascinating mystery. The idea that what we call reality is actually just one single layer of a much, much larger existence.
So we kick things off with a massive question, one that countless spiritual traditions, mystics, and ancient prophets have been asking throughout human history. They've been telling us for millennia that there's way more to our universe than meets the eye. I mean, have you ever just felt that there are layers of existence completely beyond the physical world? We actually have records across all sorts of different cultures and generations of people reporting encounters with realities that just seem to exist entirely outside the normal boundaries of space, time, and matter.
Just imagine for a second that there are invisible forces and dimensions influencing our lives right now without us even realizing it. What if the universe is vastly more mysterious than we give it credit for on a day-to-day basis? And we aren't just talking about ancient history here. This is about asking whether these dimensions are operating all around us at this very moment, secretly shaping the course of human events right under our noses.
Now, if these unseen realms really do exist, recognizing them could completely shift our understanding of our own purpose, of adversity, and honestly, of reality as a whole. Wrapping our heads around these dimensions could fundamentally transform the way you see your life and how you handle tough challenges. It's a total paradigm shift. So let's break down exactly how ancient traditions and modern thinkers actually describe these hidden spaces.
All right, let's jump into Section 1, Beyond the Physical World, the Limits of the Observable.
To really grasp these hidden spaces, we first have to admit just how limited our human perception actually is. Think about it like a giant puzzle. Imagine living in a strictly two-dimensional world. Like a stick figure drawn on a piece of paper. You're only aware of length and width. If someone from our world suddenly showed up and tried to explain the concepts of height, depth, or volume to you, it would be basically impossible to comprehend. Those realities exist completely outside your normal experience. So, just as that 2D world can't easily comprehend 3D volume, spiritual thinkers propose that we, stuck in our 3D reality, might be totally blind to spiritual dimensions extending just beyond our natural perception.
Which brings us to a crucial shift in Section 2, the problem of perception, and the difference between distance and awareness.
When we hear the word dimension, it's super easy to picture a sci-fi movie scenario. But these spiritual realms aren't necessarily located millions of light years away beyond the stars or hidden deep in the outer edges of the universe. They could be overlapping with us right here, right now. As many thinkers suggest, they're not separated by distance at all, but rather separated by perception. The barrier isn't physical space. The barrier is just our own limited human awareness.
Take the air in the room you are sitting in right now. The airwaves are absolutely packed with thousands of invisible signals, music, Wi-Fi data, cell phone conversations, and they're all moving through the space simultaneously. You can't see them or hear them naturally. Reality is exactly like that airwave, but our human perception is just a radio receiver tuned to one specific physical frequency. All those other signals remain completely invisible and silent until you have a device tuned to pick them up. The reality is already there. The whole challenge is just about perception.
Let's systematically walk through this in Section 3, exploring the unseen realms, focusing on the 4 hidden dimensions.
Across various cultures and historical traditions, we see reports that generally categorize into these 4 distinct invisible realities. We've got the dimension of divine presence, the realm of spiritual conflict, the dimension of revelation, and finally, the dimension of eternity. Let's break down exactly what each of these means and how they might be intersecting with our daily lives.
First up is the divine presence. Throughout history, people have reported these sudden, totally unexplainable moments where they're completely overwhelmed by a profound peace, intense awe, or just deep wisdom. And to be clear, these aren't just good moods. These are states where profound spiritual truths suddenly become far more vivid and real than a person's immediate physical surroundings. People often walk away from these experiences utterly convinced that they briefly stepped into a much deeper level of existence. Next, when we look at the realm of spiritual conflict, notice the fascinating shift in perspective here. With a physical focus, we're mostly looking outward at events, asking, what is happening? But spiritual awareness turns that orientation completely inward, asking, why is this happening? Ancient texts describe a reality where unseen influences interact with our thoughts, our values, and our destinies. It implies that visible earthly events often have invisible dimensions operating right behind them. It's a major shift from just looking at surface-level appearances to actually understanding the deeper unseen conflicts shaping our world.
Then we have the third dimension, revelation. This explains those sudden flashes of life-changing understanding that seem to arrive from somewhere entirely outside of ordinary human reasoning. Have you ever had a sudden creative breakthrough or a moment of unexpected clarity that just dropped into your mind out of nowhere? Well, many spiritual traditions attribute those exact experiences to encounters with deeper dimensions of truth. It's a sudden clarity that reminds us that human understanding absolutely isn't limited strictly to what's logical or visible.
And the fourth is the dimension of eternity. Now, we as humans experience time strictly chronologically, right? Yesterday, today, tomorrow. But the dimension of eternity suggests a realm that exists beyond ordinary time altogether. It's a perspective where past, present, and future are perceived entirely differently. When you view things from this eternal lens, temporary, overwhelming challenges suddenly look pretty insignificant. Things that seem monumental today might actually be completely fleeting, while seemingly small moments take on lasting, eternal value.
Okay, let's flip the narrative a bit for Section 4, the dimension within, the journey inward.
We've been talking a lot about external mysteries, but now we arrive at what is arguably the most misunderstood dimension of the whole shebang. So many people spend their entire lives searching outward, right? They travel to distant places, they chase after extraordinary external experiences, looking for hidden knowledge in the physical world. But the deepest spiritual teachings suggest something completely different. They point inward. Instead of searching outward, true spiritual awareness requires intense self-examination. The journey actually begins right within the human heart and mind.
This internal process works like a chain reaction. It starts right where your beliefs form, which then leads to your character developing. From that character, true purpose emerges, and ultimately, a profound transformation begins. The greatest discoveries don't always happen out there in external spaces. They happen right here within the unseen depths of our own consciousness. This inward dimension is where real spiritual growth sparks a very real, tangible transformation in your life.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, Embracing the Mystery, Integrating the Unseen.
So what's the real takeaway here? These concepts aren't just philosophical thought experiments. They have serious, real-world applications. The most remarkable insight is that these spiritual dimensions actively influence our everyday lives. They shape how we think and make choices. They dictate how we respond when we get hit with intense adversity. They alter how we relate to our friends and family, and they deepen our overall understanding of our purpose. The mystery isn't just whether these dimensions exist out there somewhere, but how deeply woven they already are into our everyday choices, often without us even noticing.
Recognizing all of this means we really need to remain humble and deeply curious. Beneath every visible event in your life, there might be deeper realities shaping the outcome. Look, we don't have all the answers, and nobody possesses complete knowledge of these mysteries. But history has proven time and time again that reality is often much, much larger than we initially think. It invites us to just stay open to possibilities beyond our current understanding, and it all starts with this simple, powerful question: what if there is more?
Expanding your awareness means recognizing that life contains a depth and meaning far beyond the limits of our physical senses alone. As you navigate your own layered reality today, I want to leave you with this final thought. The reality is here, right in front of us. We just need to tune our receivers to catch the signal. So as you go about your routine today, ask yourself, what invisible frequencies are broadcasting right now, just waiting for you to finally listen? Thank you for joining me on this explainer into the unseen.